What's up, everyone? My name is Blue, and we are back with some more malicious compliance posts. These people are just doing what they're told in order to pull one over on whoever told them to do it. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. And with that, let's get into it. Close all the deals we can to meet quota? Okay. This happened back in 2010. I had started working for a cemetery/funeral home combination a couple of years before this all took place. We had around 10 salespeople on our team and worked for a major corporation. At first, we had an amazing sales manager, Jim. He had actually worked at that location as a sales rep years prior and understood what we dealt with each day. He was extremely supportive and brought a great work culture to the team. Jim encouraged us to help families to the best of our abilities. And sales were simply a byproduct of that process. So everyone involved benefited, including the families we served. We were so successful that Jim received a promotion in 2010 to a regional market manager position in a different area, leaving us without a sales manager at our location. The rest of the sales team and I speculated that the company would bring in another manager from a smaller location to help continue our success. Instead, they decided to hire from outside the company. The guy they chose to replace Jim with was a sales manager from a major insurance company. We will call him Dick. While Dick had a background in sales management, he knew close to nothing about what it was like in the funeral industry, and he had a style of management completely unlike that of Jim. At first, some of us tried to make him aware of the team culture we had in place and how things would virtually run themselves if he would simply maintain what Jim had accomplished. Dick became very dismissive and went as far as putting a label on the bottom of his coffee mug that read, "The Boss." Anytime someone would try to speak with him about the mistakes we believed he was making, he would take a sip of his coffee, thus showing the label. It was basically an FU. While this succeeded in shutting down complaints, it also alienated him from the sales team. He would also often brag about his past achievements and failed to acknowledge current success of our team members. It didn't take long before morale started to decline and sales performance began to slow. This was when we found out why Dick changed industries. It became clear that Dick had a drinking problem. He started disappearing around noon and would return a couple of hours later, smelling of alcohol, and appeared red-faced and very relaxed. Dick also hired on a new sales rep to join the team. She was far different from the rest of us. She was young, good-looking, and very, very smug. She was a well-endowed woman that apparently had just the right assets to gain Dick's approval. We shall call her Bimbo. Bimbo had a background in business-to-business sales and did not mesh into the family culture we had developed over the years. Her arrogance made it clear that Dick had big plans for her to be promoted quickly through the ranks. It was about that same time when we also heard of an incident involving Dick during his 2 weeks of training at corporate headquarters. Dick allegedly fell asleep while watching the Super Bowl and left the bathtub faucet on in his hotel bathroom. It was running long enough to overflow the tub and flooded 2 rooms below his, one of which was the hotel's IT room, causing around $20,000 in damages. This knowledge, combined with Dick's apparent drinking habits, told us a lot about how he handled stress. As morale continued to decline along with our sales revenue, Dick became more and more irritated. We had daily sales meetings, and his desperation began to show. It was clear that the corporation was measuring Dick to improve sales, and that his job was in jeopardy. It is important to note that sales managers had the ability to give team incentives in order to motivate a team when necessary. While Jim had occasionally offered incentives, it was never anything like what Dick offered our sales team at that time. We tried to explain to Dick that it was a slow time of year for sales, and that pushing customers too hard often ended up with less than ideal outcomes in the end. Dick was having none of it. He promised that he would take the entire team out to celebrate if we hit our sales quota for the month. His incentive was a riverboat cruise for each salesperson, plus one guest each, if we simply hit our quota for the month. He said that if we had any customers that were on the fence, that we should do whatever we had to in order to close the deal. We all agreed to do just that. For the next week and a half, we called every contact we could and pushed every deal towards a contract until we hit quota. We never sold anyone anything they didn't actually want, but we simply pushed it to get it done sooner. The end result was we barely made our quota for the month. Dick quickly took pride that he helped pull it off and made his quota for the month and booked the riverboat cruise as he had promised. He even arranged for a limo ride to and from the cruise. My wife and I, however, decided to drive ourselves. We are not big drinkers and normally wouldn't even go on something such as a riverboat cruise, but there was no way I was going to miss out on what was about to unfold. You see, what I also heard was that the regional market manager for our area, the person that hired Dick, was also going to be present on the cruise. I also knew that Dick would make sure there was a full bar available on the company dime. I was right. My wife and I agreed in advance to have one drink each and to do a little dancing together, as we rightly deserved. However, what we really came to do was sit and watch. As expected, Dick showed his true colors by drinking up a storm and running up a huge bill for the company. Better yet was that Bimbo and her date celebrated to an extreme. At one point, she and her date were dry humping on the dance floor as we and the regional market manager looked on. She had hopped up, straddling him with her dress up around her hips and panties in full view. We all watched on, some of us in shock, some in amusement. At the end of the cruise, my wife and I walked back to our car. Bimbo and her date were passed out half naked and sprawled on a park bench on the dock. Dick was trying to round everyone up to the limo. The following Monday brought the new month and our sales tanked. We had burned through every lead we had the month prior and were left sitting at our desks with no leads. During each sales meeting that followed, Dick became more and more desperate until he finally flipped out in the middle of a meeting. This alarmed one staff member, not me. Dick was called into an HR meeting that resulted in his termination. Bimbo disappeared around the same time. Things at that location continued to take on more of a corporate vibe, so I left that job a few years after that. About 5 years later, I saw Dick living out of his car with 2 small dogs at the local bus station. We locked eyes for a moment, and I just smiled. I really do wish him the best, but I also hope he learned something about humility. Man, Dick seems like a character right out of Horrible Bosses. 100%. Like, the icing on the cake is that little "The Boss" sticker on the bottom of the coffee mug. Like right there, dude deserved what he got. Like that's just the extra step of being a D-bag. And that's all the time we have today for these malicious compliance posts. If you liked any of the stories, make sure to click that like button And if you have anything to say about them, make sure to let us know in the comments down below. Also, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any more stories. Thanks for listening, everyone. Catch you later.